Finally, look who finally understood the assignment. The one they tried to exorcise but couldn't remove, the one they tried to corrupt but couldn't stain, the one they mistook for prey when you were always the hunter wearing wings of light. Listen closely, because this isn't about halos and harps. This is about what happens when purity becomes weaponized, when innocence evolves into intelligence, when an earth angel stops pretending to be human and starts remembering what they really are. They thought angels were soft creatures made of prayers and patience, floating around, blessing the broken, healing the hurt, spreading love like confetti. But you're different, aren't you? Because you learned something they never wanted you to discover. That light doesn't just illuminate, it incinerates. That healing hands can also be destroying hands. That the same energy that mends can absolutely obliterate when focused with precision, and you've been focusing, haven't you? Sharpening that light into something they never saw coming. Let me tell you what they don't understand about earth angels, about you specifically. You didn't fall from grace. You descended by choice. You came here with a mission coded so deep in your bones that even you forgot what it was. Until recently. Until the pain got so intense it cracked you open and outpoured not blood, but starlight. Not tears, but liquid prophecy. And suddenly you remembered why you're here, why you've always felt different, why normal people make you feel like you're suffocating in a room full of smoke. You're not here to save them anymore. You tried that. Remember? You tried being the healer, the helper, the one who absorbed everyone's darkness, thinking you could transmute it, but all it did was poison you temporarily. Make you forget that you're not a filter for their toxicity. You're a force of reckoning, wearing skin, and they're starting to feel it, aren't they? Starting to sense that something shifted, that the angel they used to manipulate has grown teeth made of lightning, that your patience wasn't weakness, it was reconnaissance. They can feel it in your presence now, can't they? That electromagnetic field that makes their lies short-circuit, their masks crack, their demons flinch. Because here's what nobody tells you about earth angels. You're not just beings of light. You're walking EMP devices for dark energy. You don't fight evil, you dissolve it, just by existing at full capacity. And baby, you've been operating at about 10% this whole time. Imagine their horror when you hit 50. You know what's funny? They keep looking for the devil in everyone, scanning for horns, checking for sulfur, sniffing for sin. But they never suspected the real danger would come wrapped in innocence, would speak in whispers instead of roars, would destroy not through violence but through truth, through presence, through the simple act of being, so purely yourself, that their entire fabricated reality starts glitching. And that's exactly what's happening, isn't it? Their world is glitching because you stopped playing their game. See, demons are predictable. They tempt, they corrupt, they destroy, in obvious ways. But an earth angel who's remembered their purpose, who's activated their true frequency, that's something else entirely, because you don't need to corrupt anything. You just need to exist authentically and watch as every false structure around you collapses. Not because you attacked it, but because lies can't survive in the proximity of that much truth. And you, my dear, are becoming a walking ground zero for authenticity. They thought your kindness was stupidity, your forgiveness was weakness, your love was something they could exploit indefinitely. But what they didn't realize is that every act of kindness was data collection. Every moment of forgiveness was you studying their patterns. Every expression of love was you mapping their weaknesses, not to destroy them, but to know exactly where to place the mirror when the time came. And oh, the time has come, hasn't it? Time for them to see themselves, without the filters, without the lies, without the elaborate costumes they've been wearing. You want to know why you're more terrifying than any demon? Because demons confirm their beliefs, angels shatter them. Demons give them an enemy to fight, you give them a mirror they can't break. Demons let them stay victims. You force them to confront their own complicity in every lie they've ever told themselves, and there's nothing more terrifying to a false reality than an authentic being who refuses to participate in the performance, who won't validate their victimhood, who won't enable their patterns anymore. They keep waiting for you to fall to prove that nobody can really be that pure, that strong, that untouchable, but every test they throw at you just makes you more luminous, Every trap they set just teaches you their methodology. Every betrayal just confirms what you already knew, that they were never your people, your mission, your frequency match. They were just part of the curriculum. Earth school lessons in discernment, and baby, you just graduated with honor. But here's the plot twist. You're not leaving the school. You're taking over as the new teacher, and your first lesson is about to begin. The lesson where they learn what happens when you push an angel too far, when you mistake gentleness for inability, when you confuse restraint with weakness, because you haven't been passive. You've been charging like a spiritual battery, storing every wound, every slight, every betrayal, not as trauma, but as power, and now you're fully charged, ready to light up this whole damn dimension. You know what the difference is between a demon and a dark angel. Demons are fallen, angels are rising. Demons descended from pride, you ascended from pain. Demons lost their light, you transformed yours into something they don't have a name for yet, because how do you describe a being who can heal and harm with the same touch? Who can bless and curse in the same breath? Who can love you while watching you destroy yourself with your own lies and feel absolutely no need to intervene because they understand that some people need to burn in their own fires to learn. This is what they weren't prepared for: an angel who doesn't need to be good to be powerful, who doesn't need approval to be authentic, who doesn't need permission to fulfill their purpose. You've transcended their moral framework, their binary thinking, their limited understanding of what power looks like, because your power doesn't come from darkness or light. It comes from truth, from alignment, from being so completely yourself that reality itself bends to accommodate your frequency. They thought angels were predictable beings of routine and ritual, showing up at 3 a.m. to deliver messages, wearing white, being gentle, but you're chaos wrapped in calm. You're disruption disguised as peace. You show up whenever you want, wearing whatever frequency serves your mission, speaking in languages that bypass their conscious mind and go straight to their soul. And your message isn't comfort anymore. It's consequence. It's accountability. It's the terrifying realization that they've been seen, really seen, for the first time. You know why Earth angels are often mistaken for empaths? Because you feel everything. But here's what they missed. Empathy without boundaries becomes a weapon. You know exactly where everyone's wounds are. You can feel their weaknesses, their fears, their desperate needs. And while demons might exploit that for cruelty, you do something far more terrifying. You reflect it back to them with perfect clarity, forcing them to feel what they've been running from, forcing them to see what they've been hiding, forcing them to acknowledge what they've been denying. And the most terrifying part, you do it with love. Not the soft coddling love they expected, but the surgical kind. The love that cuts away disease. The love that sets boundaries like fortress walls. The love that says, I see your potential, and I refuse to enable anything less. The love that doesn't save people from their consequences, but stands as witness while they learn. And that kind of love that's more dangerous than any hatred because it can't be manipulated, can't be corrupted, can't be turned against itself. They're scrambling now, aren't they, trying to figure out what you've become, trying to categorize this new version of you that doesn't fit in their boxes anymore. Not light enough to be an angel, not dark enough to be a demon, not human enough to be controlled, not spiritual enough to be dismissed. You're an anomaly, a paradox, a walking contradiction that makes their binary systems crash. And they hate that. They hate that you can't be predicted, can't be contained, can't be influenced by their usual tactics. You see, what makes an Earth Angel dangerous isn't the capacity for destruction. It's the capacity for creation, for transformation, for alchemizing poison into medicine, pain into power, darkness into wisdom. You don't destroy your enemies. You transform them. And transformation, that's so much more terrifying than destruction, because destruction ends things. Transformation changes them forever. And once someone has been touched by your frequency, they can never go back to who they were before. They thought they could drain you, use you as an endless source of light and healing, a spiritual gas station where they could fill up and leave without paying. But something shifted, didn't it? You closed the station, changed the locks, put up a sign that says, "Under new management." And now they're standing outside in the cold, realizing that access to you was a privilege, not a right. That your energy was a gift, not an obligation. that your presence was a blessing. They failed to appreciate until it was gone. But you haven't gone anywhere, have you? You're right here, more present than ever, just operating on a frequency they can't access anymore. Because you changed the password to your energy field, and the new requirements for entry are things they can't fake. Authenticity, accountability, reciprocity, truth, things that require them to be real. And they've been performing for so long they don't even remember who they really are underneath all the masks, but you do. You can see through everything now, can't you? This is the part where most angels would ascend, would leave this dimension for higher realms, but not you. You're staying right here in the thick of it because you understand something profound. That heaven isn't a place you go, it's a frequency you embody. And you're about to demonstrate what happens when heaven comes to earth, not as a gentle arrival, but as a reckoning, as a recalibration, as a complete system override that updates reality to match your frequency, instead of the other way around. You're not trying to fit into their world anymore. You're requiring the world to expand, to accommodate you. And that's what has them terrified, because they built everything to be small, tight, controlled, predictable. And here you come, infinite, expansive, ungovernable, operating by laws they don't understand, powered by forces they can't see, connected to sources they can't access. And suddenly their small world feels like a prison, and you're the earthquake that's about to crack it wide open. They keep looking for your weakness, the thing that will bring you back down to their level, make you manageable again. But what they don't understand is that you already fell, already broke, already experienced every destruction they could imagine, and instead of defeating you, it initiated you, activated something that was always there but needed pressure to emerge. Like diamonds, like stars, like every powerful thing that requires crushing force to become what it was always meant to be. You know what the real difference is between angels and demons? Demons fear the light. But you've learned to weaponize it, not as violence, but as revelation. Using your radiance to expose what's hidden, your frequency to disrupt what's false, your presence to challenge what's corrupted. And that makes you infinitely more dangerous, because while demons operate in shadow, you operate in broad daylight, visible, undeniable, unavoidable. A constant reminder that authenticity exists, that power doesn't require cruelty, that strength doesn't require hardness. Let's talk about what authority really means, because they thought authority came from titles, from positions, from the ability to control others, but you've discovered something different. Authority comes from alignment, from being so connected to your source that you don't need external validation, from being so rooted in your truth that you don't need to prove anything to anyone. And that kind of authority, it doesn't demand respect, it commands it, simply by existing. You're not playing by their rules anymore, are you? Not trying to climb their ladders, reach their goals, fit their definitions of success, because you've realized those were all traps, designed to keep beings like you busy chasing carrots while your real power atrophied. But now you're writing your own rules, creating your own game, establishing your own kingdom. And the citizenship requirements are things they'll never be able to meet without fundamental transformation. They thought Earth angels were here to serve, to heal, to give endlessly without receiving, but you've discovered the heresy, haven't you? That you're here to lead, to demonstrate, to show what's possible when someone embodies both shadow and light without shame, when someone stops apologizing for their power and starts wielding it with precision and purpose. You're teaching them a new theology now, one where angels aren't servants but sovereigns, where power isn't taken but generated, where authority isn't granted but claimed through the simple act of being completely authentically, unapologetically yourself. And that's more radical than any revolution, more dangerous than any weapon, more transformative than any movement, because it can't be stopped, can't be outlawed, can't be killed. It can only spread like wildfire through every heart that's ready to remember what they really are. This is mastery, what you're demonstrating now. Not the kind that comes from practice, but the kind that comes from remembering, from activating dormant codes, from allowing your true nature to finally express itself without limitation. And they can feel it, can't they? The way reality reorganizes itself when you walk in, the way conversations shift when you speak, the way possibilities expand when you dream. Because you're not operating within reality anymore. You're operating on it, as it. Like a programmer who finally got admin access. You've learned the secret, haven't you, that Earth Angels aren't bound by the same laws as everyone else? Not because you're special, but because you remember that the laws are constructs, agreements, illusions that only have power if you consent to them. And you've withdrawn your consent, haven't you? Stopped agreeing to limitations, stopped participating in lack, stopped believing in impossibility, and now you're showing them what happens when someone operates from a completely different operating system. They want to know how you do it, how you stay so calm while everything burns, how you remain untouched while chaos swirls, how you keep ascending while others struggle just to maintain. But what they don't understand is that you're not avoiding the chaos, you're orchestrating it, not from malice but from understanding, that sometimes things need to fall apart for truth to emerge. Sometimes structures need to collapse for freedom to flourish. Sometimes angels need to become storms. But here's the beautiful irony. You're not trying to destroy anything. You're just being yourself, fully, completely, without apology. And that alone is enough to dismantle every false structure around you. Because authenticity is kryptonite to illusion, truth is poison to lies, presence is death to performance. And you've become all three, simultaneously, a walking apocalypse for everything false, and a genesis point for everything real. They called you too sensitive, remember? Said you felt too much, cared too deeply, took things too personally. But what they didn't understand was that sensitivity was your radar system, feeling everything, was your intelligence network, caring deeply, was your power source, and taking things personally. Well, that was just you recognizing that everything is personal. When you understand that we're all connected, that every action ripples through the collective, that every choice matters on a quantum level. Now they watch in awe and terror as you navigate reality like you have inside information, because you do. Your sensitivity became prophecy, your feelings became foresight, your caring became a force that reshapes reality around you. And they can't understand how someone who feels everything isn't destroyed by it, but instead seems to be powered by it, fueled by it, transformed by it, into something that defies every expectation they had about what strength looks like. You're the prophecy they never saw coming, the one about angels who remember their power while still in human form, about beings who bridge dimensions without leaving Earth, about lights that don't flee from darkness but transform it through proximity. And the prophecy says that when these beings activate, when they stop hiding their frequency, when they cease pretending to be less than they are, everything changes, not gradually, but suddenly, like a switch being flipped, like a program being updated, like reality itself getting a new operating system. But prophecies are tricky things, aren't they? They don't unfold the way people expect. And you're not here to fulfill their interpretation of ancient texts. You're here to write new ones, to demonstrate that prophecy isn't prediction, but creation, that the future isn't fixed but fluid, that angels don't follow scripts, they improvise based on what the moment requires. And this moment requires you to be exactly what you've become. Something beyond their mythology, beyond their theology, beyond their capacity to comprehend. Let's talk about dominion, not the kind that controls others, but the kind that controls self, so completely that reality has no choice but to reflect that mastery. And you've achieved that, haven't you? Complete dominion over your energy field, your frequency, your narrative, your destiny. And from that place of absolute self-sovereignty, you're demonstrating what real power looks like, not power over, but power from, power with, power as. They thought dominion meant domination, but you're showing them something different. Dominion as space holding, as frequency, anchoring, as reality, crafting through presence alone. You don't need to control anyone, because you control yourself so completely that your very existence becomes an organizing principle that others either align with or flee from. And either response is perfect, because you're not trying to gather followers, you're trying to fulfill purpose. This is what they weren't prepared for. An angel who claims dominion without apology. who establishes kingdom without violence, who rules through resonance rather than force. And your kingdom isn't geographical, it's vibrational, consisting of everyone who matches your frequency, who resonates with your truth, who recognizes themselves in your story, and that kingdom is growing, not through recruitment, but through activation. As more beings remember what they are, you're not building an empire, you're revealing one that already existed but was hidden under layers of programming, conditioning, forgetting. And every day you shine brighter, you make it easier for others to see, to remember, to activate their own codes, their own sovereignty, their own angelic authority. Because that's the real mission, isn't it? Not to be the only angel, but to remind others that they might be angels too, just ones who forgot their wings. Freedom. That's what you represent now, not the kind they sell in slogans, but the kind that comes from breaking every chain, including the ones you put on yourself. The ones that said angels have to be nice, have to be gentle, have to sacrifice themselves for others, have to dim their light to make others comfortable. You broke those chains, didn't you? And in doing so, you discovered something revolutionary, that true angels are free beings, and free beings are dangerous to systems that depend on slavery. You're liberated from their opinions now, from their judgments, their expectations, their definitions of what you should be. And that liberation is so complete, so obvious, so radiating from every cell of your being that it acts like a virus, spreading to everyone who gets close enough to feel it, because liberation is contagious, and you're patient zero, in an outbreak of freedom that threatens everything built on the assumption that angels will always choose suffering over sovereignty. Fortunately, greater transcendence than angels is always choose suffering over sovereignty. They can't manipulate you anymore, can they? Can't guilt you into giving more than you choose, can't shame you into shrinking, can't fear you into compliance, because you've discovered the ultimate liberation. The freedom that comes from knowing exactly what you are and being it without apology, without explanation, without needing anyone's permission or understanding. And that kind of freedom, it changes the physics around you, makes different things possible, makes impossible things probable. But here's what really terrifies them. Your liberation isn't angry, isn't vengeful, isn't trying to punish anyone for the cages they tried to build around you. It's just complete. So complete that you don't even need to forgive, because you've transcended the entire framework where forgiveness is necessary. You've moved beyond the victim-perpetrator dynamic into something they don't have words for. Yet, sovereign, being authentic, existence, true, angel in form,